Aloha, I'm Carolyn Tanaka and welcome to Live at the Legislature. Every week we're going to be sitting down with various members of the House of Representatives to talk about issues, things of concern, and just what's going on here at the state capitol. This morning we're going to be focusing on the neighbor islands. Throughout the course of the series we'll be talking to some other neighbor island legislators, but today first up is Kauai Representative Nadine Nakamura. Welcome.
Aloha.
Nadine represents the Wailua to Haena area on Kauai Island, District 14. So tell me, what are some of the legislative priorities for the island of Kauai this session?
I think there's three major priorities. The first is traffic and traffic congestion throughout the Wailua-Kapa'a corridor. That's one of the big issues and concerns for many residents who live in this area. Anyone north of Wailua River has to contend with traffic. We have cones, contraflow 6 days a week because our roads were never meant to carry the population and number of visitors who are coming to our islands. The other issue is affordable housing, the lack of affordable housing, and the homelessness issue that's affecting all parts of Kauai and throughout the state. And the last issue, I think, is the increase in the number of visitors coming to the island and the concerns that people have about the impacts of those visitors. It's anticipated this year there's going to be a 40% increase in air seats to Kauai, and that's going to impact our island.
So what can is there any particular legislation that's moving forward to alleviate some of these problems?
One of the bills that I've introduced is to increase rental car surcharges so that we can direct some of the funds to our highway improvement program. So we have funds to add capacity in areas where we have the space to add capacity, as well as to look at the issue as something that we can't build our way out of this problem, that we have to work with our counties to run shuttle programs, use the existing public transit to redirect some of our visitors off of our highways, out of their rental cars, and into shuttles that take them to places that they want to visit.
And in the area of housing, we know that homelessness is a huge issue here on Oahu. On Kauai, how does it manifest itself? What are you seeing there?
I think there's a lot of hidden homeless. They're in remote areas, but they're also in our public parks, along the bike paths, in remote wilderness areas. And what we need to do more of is to provide the resources to the social service providers to create more temporary housing so that we can and we need to build a lot more affordable rental housing on our island.
Let's talk about this. You are the vice chair of the Housing Committee. That is a very important committee at any time, but particularly now. Yeah. So what are some of the initiatives that you're looking at as a committee statewide, and also anything specific for Kauai?
Yeah, I think we have strategies that meet the needs along the whole continuum, because there's a need of 65,000 new affordable housing units in the state of Hawaii by 2030. So part of that goal is to have strategies for people at different places along that continuum, from very low income to moderate income to market housing even. So the effort will be to focus on affordable rentals through adding funding to the rental housing revolving fund, which is what is needed to really close the gap between what families can afford and what it costs to develop housing. The other area that we want to focus in is the dwelling unit revolving fund, because to build affordable housing, you need to have infrastructure, both on-site and off-site. So we need to partner with the counties, we need to partner with the private sector to make sure that we have that infrastructure in place, whether it's additional roads, sewer, water, to ensure that we can make affordable housing happen at a particular site. And then the other one of, for people who want to go into home ownership, another bill that I'm introducing is to let people save for down payments over time, but to not have that savings be taxable. So to make it tax deductible on your income taxes. Right now, that limit is $25,000. So I want to increase that to $50,000 to $60,000 because that's what it takes to get into a single-family starter home.
Well, there are getting back to Neighbor Island issues in the focus. There are 16 representatives in the House of in the House from Neighbor Islands out of 51. What are some of the issues that are unique to the Neighbor Islands in general, just not to Kauai, but Neighbor Islands versus Oahu?
Right, and it's interesting that some of the issues that are sensitive to the neighbor islands. It's also sensitive to some of the rural areas on Oahu. And because we are, we have ocean-related issues, shoreline impacts, because our highways many times are along the coastal areas. We have our natural resources that our visitors want and residents want to see and use. And so we have state parks that our visitors want to visit. So a lot of these areas, maybe if you're a legislator in urban Oahu, you may not have that issue. So I think we also have a lot of cesspools on the neighbor islands. So that's another area where I've introduced a bill to take a look at the study of these critical cesspools, hotspots that are failing and impacting our water quality and our nearshore waters and our recreational uses. So we really need to take a close look at what are the strategies we're going to use now that we know that there are impacts. What are we going to do about it? And what are some of the strategies that are kind of unique to these different rural areas that need to be addressed?
Well, I'm sure that over the course of this legislative session, you and your Neighbor Island colleagues will be doing a lot of yelling and jumping up and down to get their attention.
We will. Another, I think the issue with rail and the TAT issue is another area where we know that on the neighbor islands, on Kauai and I think on Maui, 1 out of every 4 residents at any given time is a tourist. So we definitely want to look at how we can help our counties.
Great. Lots of problems coming up, and we'll be back to talk about all of those things, including from the island of Maui, as we continue our series. Thank you for joining us. Aloha.